Welcome to another production of Source Selection Soundbites. These productions foster learning, insight, and the ability to perform. Today's topic is conducting a walkthrough of the oral presentation. Today we will discuss team cohesion, props such as place, time, personnel, and equipment, and practicing interactions with industry. The team should be very aware of the ground rules and how to be an efficient, cohesive team during the presentation. The first thing the team should learn is awareness and control of its emotions. The team members should keep a poker face during the presentations. That means not letting on that a team member agrees with or is excited about an approach, or that the team member disagrees with or is disgusted by an approach. This means controlling the urge to nod in agreement or eye-rolling when one feels disagreement. The team should be trained to avoid showing signs of emotion. They should focus on only absorbing and evaluating the information. The agency should also agree on the timing of questions. Invariably, the vendor will say things that give rise to evaluator questions. The team should decide how ad hoc questions of this nature should be handled. Should they interrupt the presentation to satisfy their curiosity, or should the evaluator hold the question to the end when the vendor has finished presenting? This is often stipulated in the solicitation. Sometimes situations arise that seems to contradict something said in the written proposal. In those situations, it's probably best to caucus before asking a clarifying question to ensure the question fits the definition of clarification. To be as prepared as possible, the CO and/or program manager should do a walkthrough of the presentation with the team. The walkthrough is sometimes referred to as a dress rehearsal. A dress rehearsal means everything is done as it would be in a real performance. The entire team should be present for the dress rehearsal so they can get the feel of what it is like to participate in the oral presentation process. The same location and equipment and software should be used to make it as real as possible. The government does not want to arrive the day of the presentation only to find that the equipment or software does not work in that location, or that the software is a different version of what it is in other parts of the agency. The agency personnel should know where all power switches are, practice stopwatch or other method of tracking time, and practice with the video equipment in terms of recording the sessions and setting up 2 or more bridges to facilitate oral presentation activities. To make the dress rehearsal realistic, the agency should use faux presenters. The faux presenters should be personnel who know something about the requirement or general subject matter. They should receive the questions as they would in a regular source selection situation, and then begin to answer the questions and respond to ad hoc questions as presenters would in a real presentation. The faux presenters should vary in their level of effectiveness. At least one of them should fail to address all areas required by the evaluation criteria or address them in a very cursory way, so the evaluation team can come to a group understanding about adequate coverage of a topic area. When listening to the presentations, it is also advisable to use the individual note sheet to jot down details such as things that raise or lower confidence of an evaluator, and use the consensus worksheet to record the consensus evaluation after the team is caucused. The team also needs to be coached on interactions and when they take place during the oral presentation. There are many ways to have oral presentations, but generally, the agency engages in at least 2 different ways without entering into discussions with offerers. The first and most common way the agency engages with offerers is via standard questions. Standard questions are normally published in the solicitation or provided to the offeror before the oral presentation begins. When published in the solicitation, the offeror has time to contemplate the answer, which may lead to a more thorough answer. When provided just before the oral presentation, the offeror has a period of time to put together a presentation to present to the government. It is likely the answer will not be as thorough in that circumstance. Lastly, the agency can have planned questions that it uses to interrupt the vendor's presentation. This tests the vendor's personnel's ability to think on their feet and their general understanding of the subject matter. The second common form of engaging industry is via individual questions that are more ad hoc in nature. The individual questions are in response to something the vendor shared during the presentation. The purpose of ad hoc questions is not to get the vendor to change its approach, but to obtain clarification on what was said to ensure that the agency understands the vendor's approach or solution. Lastly, the team should practice when those questions will be allowed. Most of the time, this is dictated by the solicitation. Often, ad hoc questions are placed at the end of the vendor's presentation. The CO should check the language in the solicitation to ensure everyone understands the process. During the course of practicing, the CO will want to get the team comfortable with the concept that oral presentations are distinct from discussions, which allow vendors to revise their proposals. Oral presentations typically explore approaches and solutions, but may revise them if the government allows it. There should already be language in the solicitation that sets forth the range of exchanges the agency will have with vendors. Most of the time, the language states that discussions are not contemplated. The agency always has the option of conducting discussions, but it should avoid mistakenly entering discussions by doing the following. 1. Keeping exchanges entirely within the confines of the oral presentation session. 2. Don't solicit or accept revisions to the previously submitted written proposal. 3. Not allowed to revise anything that was previously said during oral presentations. And 4. Offers are not permitted to submit anything after the oral presentations. To wrap things up, let's review what we discussed. We discussed how to build team cohesion. Second, we discussed the importance of conducting full dress rehearsals to improve performance. And third, practicing interactions with vendors. Thank you for watching another episode of Source Selection Soundbites. For additional information, check out some of the other videos in this series, other Productivity Partners materials, or our Source Selection Answer app that is available on the Google Play Store and Apple Store. In any event, thanks for watching, and see you next time.